This is the week's astrology from Monday, the 11th of November, all the way through to the 17th. This happens to be a lunation week, and it's a big deal. Frigging amazing, powerful moon. It's going to happen on that fixed star Algol. Yes, the demon's head, but it's also a star that can bring wealth. It's a full moon around 26 degrees of Taurus that lines up really beautifully with Neptune and Pluto for some cheerleading and support. When we think about the shock of Uranus sitting on the moon on Algol, we think of things like breakthrough. We think of emotional shock. We think surprises that could come in the wake of a full moon in this part of our sky. Now, I don't want to incite anything to make you afraid about this moon, because Uranus is also about breakthroughs. It's about unique information that brings genius to us, insights and downloads. And it's the word rebellion and freedom. And who doesn't like freedom? Although rebellion can have its ups and downs. And so we're going to talk about how the moon coming through the sky this week on the 15th of this week, which happens to be a Friday, Venus Day in my time zone, will impact you. Also, this is a moon that is exalted traditional astrology wise in the sign of Taurus, and it is being dominated by or ruled by or watched over by Venus herself, the Lord of Taurus, in very resourceful Capricorn. Although it's not in a aspectual relationship, she is still able to be in a whole sign flow to this moon along with Pluto. At this point, this is going to be something that we would experience as mostly given a positive spin. But key word when I see Uranus involved in a full moon is some kind of shocking revelations or some kind of reveals. Because think about it. What do you do when you go out hunting at night? You have a full moon. You don't go hunting on a new moon. You need the light of the moon to reveal something to you. And Uranus is like the tower card in the tarot, electrical shocks or currents. We're going to be diving into the myth of the astrology here today with Algol as well. But I've also managed to pull up the asteroids Daedalus, the asteroid Diana or Artemis, and Deucalion. We're going to talk about how those myths are embedded in this moon because of where these asteroids fall in the sky during this particular lunation. So we're going to get diving into your sign, what it means for you today. Listen for your sun sign when you're thinking about career and purpose and reputation and vibes, like what's your purpose for being here? Think about your soul, the deep essence of you that's beyond one particular incarnation. Think about your rising sign, like the character you're playing. Leos always have hair, Leo risings. Think of JD Vance and Donald Trump, facial hair, right? You look like you're rising. It's like the avatar in the game of life. In the simulation, this is your avatar. So your avatar is your rising sign, your game player is the sun, and your moon could be the life breath force that animates the character, but it's also moon, your home and safety and nest. In other words, try listening for all three delineations and see which is best for you. And I often listen to sun and rising and find them, they are the most accurate for me. All right. We're all different, but you check out you. So if you're new here, welcome. My name is Lori Lothian. I'm using the Western Tropical Zodiac whole sign houses, and I love those fixed stars and minor asteroids. They're so much a part of how I like to use astrology to time your best life and to be a navigational tool. I'm recording on Thursday, the November 7th for my Patreon community who gets this early access ad-free. We're in the post-election era. Some of you are very upset. Some of you are very happy. This is what happens when people have a two-party system and the parties divide the people into two segments, left or right. I missed the call. I made some mistakes in my delineations, me and thousands of others, where I was trending on and on towards seeing a Harris win. Although I'm apolitical, I know you don't believe me, and I'm Canadian for one thing. And then at the very end, I was changing my swing towards Donald Trump, and I didn't share that here on YouTube, and I apologize for that. I know that a lot of people got very upset by this because I had sent it to my Patreon community, and that was I ran a Horary chart. That's a divination tool of astrology, and I'm only a beginner intermediate. I'm an intermediate level, and I don't trust my skills yet doing Horary. I've only been learning it on and off. It's just not my main strength. So I kept that video off of YouTube for a lack of confidence, but also just feeling like maybe I was going to swing so far the other way, I would get trolled. And I did share that with people and apologize. So again, a lot of people unsubbed in the last 2 or 3 days after the election because they were angry at me. But if you're still here, I'm human, I'm fallible, I make mistakes. I get some things right, like Biden stepping down from the race and like Trump being nearly assassinated and the time that he almost was. I picked the time as well. So I don't get everything right. I'm human. I'm just human after all. So cut me some slack and let's get going. Well, Algol, this is the star of the day. Like, we must talk about it because this is a star that is sitting in a very, very interesting place in the sky. Right now, it's around 26 degrees and 30 minutes of the sign of Taurus, a fixed sign. And it's always going to be there. It moves 70 degrees per year in terms of the Earth's wobble. And we're talking about how our Western topical zodiac overlays the real sky. So it's still a symbolic sky. However, you'll notice that the Algol star, which means demon's head, and is also connected to rotting bodies and corpses and to literally mass death and graves in the ancient mundane tradition of the star, but also wealth and jewels and diamonds, right? 2 sides to every coin. This Algol star, by the way, is a triple star. I don't believe it's even binary. I think it's a triple star system, which is interesting because the Medusa myth to which it's related, the head of the Medusa had, she was one of 3 Gorgon sisters. And so this is the Medusa. It's Caput Algol, the head of the demon. Perseus slayed Medusa. This was her head. He used it on a shield, to go to battle and turn his male soldier battle in, they was battling against the hero Perseus into stone. Medusa was punished. Okay, she was punished and unfairly, and it's a long, long story. We're not going to go into the myth today. Rather, what I want to say about it is this. This is a star that does describe in mundane astrology events at the mass scale that can be very challenging. Individually may not be so challenging. At the mass mundane astrology of the world, it can be challenging. It's on a full moon exalted in Taurus, saving graces, a whole sign trine from Venus, a aspectual trine from Pluto, and a sextile from Neptune. Those are saving graces, but it is still an incredibly charged star. And what I'm going to do is read from some of my star books, as well as read from Renn Butler's The Archetypal Universe, to tell you the nature of Moon and Uranus together. For me, Moon and Uranus can be an emotional shock, but it can also be a breakthrough in the mind, because in a way, our mind-body complex, how we feel and think about life, is coming off of lunar energy, especially in Vedic astrology. And there's a shock to the mind, right? I mean, it's like Neo in the Matrix. There's a splinter in your mind, and then there's a shock to the mind when he finds out what is real. And so we may have a sort of that kind of a shock come off of the moon. And even though the moon is full, and we're going to see that full moon playing out in the sky on the 15th, which is Friday in my time zone, adjust for yours. The moon can show its true face to us, and we'll know what it's really for in the 2 weeks that follow the moon. And in some larger sense, it kind of sets a tone for the next 6 months until we have a new moon. And in this regard, all new moons are the fulfillment, full moons are the fulfillment of a new moon that occurred 6 months earlier. So what I'm going to do is also go back in history in your chart life, when you're listening later, and also for the world, what was the new moon in Taurus about that seeds the full moon in Taurus? There will be ways to connect those dots. All right, now let's talk about the star, and let's talk about mundane astrology. And don't worry, if you don't like world event astrology, which is my cup of tea, you can jump to your timestamp, but just stick in a little bit because you want to understand the nature of moon, the nature of Uranus moon together, how it's reflecting the light of the sun on asteroid Artemis and Deucalion and Artemis, and how Daedalus, the inventor of the wax wings that his son flew too high in the sky and melted and fell to the ground, are squaring this lunation. And although it's a minor asteroid, it's almost precisely square. So I'm going to include it because it feels to me like it could be a moon that means that somebody's wings are going to melt and they're going to fall from the sky, like Daedalus's son. And there's an artful dodger energy to Daedalus. He was the one who's helping his son escape with him from imprisonment. And I think that there's an energy of the inventive within Daedalus as well, right? Daedalus was the inventor of these wings that they were going to use to escape, but they were made of wax. So you have both the falling sun from that. His sun fell from the sky because he got too close to the sun with melting wings, but it's also what we need to invent. And there's a possibility that an exalted moon conjunct Uranus, squaring Daedalus and opening up energies from Deucalion, which we'll talk about, a part of this sort of the post-flood Noah story and building a whole new world, that we may have some advancements in medicine, some medical breakthroughs of some sort that have the word invention attached to them in the news cycle around the time after this moon, a couple of weeks after this moon. That would be the most positive delineation by far. So who has placements that could be impacted on the world stage near the 26-degree moon? It happens exactly 26 degrees. So in other words, who was born? Because Algol would have been like 20, maybe 5 degrees and change even like 60 years ago. So don't forget, it's moving, right? It's not staying still. Well, somebody who has a midheaven up there is Donald Trump. Yes, indeed. His like around 24 degrees Taurus midheaven. Well, Kamala Harris has Jupiter sitting with Algol in her 12th house. So this is her Taurus placement. So Jupiter for Kamala Harris. And for Trump, it's his midheaven. And for the nation of Israel's sun, it's on 23, close enough to count. It's around this lunation. There's going to be impacting these particular people. And because their placements are people or nations are entangled or caught up in this energy. Now, we all saw what happened in the July timeframe when both Mars and Uranus were on Algol around July 15th. And at the same time, that's on Donald Trump's midheaven, which is the vault of heaven. You want to go to heaven, climb the stairs like the Truman Show and get out. The vault of heaven, the highest noon, is the midheaven. But it's also one's reputation and things you do in the public. And when that happened, just a couple of days before that, someone tried to shoot a bullet at him on a platform in the public eye, and it whizzed by his ear. For Donald Trump, this is important because it's not just his career and reputation. It happens to be that his Taurus midheaven is in a relationship to his ascendant, his body, and Mars on his ascendant. That's called a square. So it can bring physical harm to him because of things that happen near this star. And you have to understand that having Mars and Uranus conjunct, first of all, Uranus can only conjunct Kamala Harris's Jupiter, Donald Trump's midheaven, and the nation of Israel's sun once every 40 years, maybe 3 times like this time, because there's a retrograde cycle, but in only once every 184 years does Uranus make its journey to this part of the sky where the star exists. So the dates that I'm going to give you are for the world events, okay? I want you to think about this. Maybe your own life will have comparisons. I don't know. But the direct motion Uranus crossed over July 15th or so with Mars conjunct as well, Algol in the sky for the world, but also for those people we mentioned, Harris and Trump and Israel's solar energy, that was also activating their planetary placements. And that makes sense because Uranus was closer to going over the sun of the nation of Israel sooner than July, going back closer to the beginning of the war. And so we have July 15th to the 18th activated. And then we have Algol retrograding over this part of the sky where the star is. And we're going through that proximity now. It is in this time frame, around November 15th, that Uranus is back on top of Algol yet again. And a little bit further into December. So mid-November to early December, we're getting the same kind of enervation in the sky that we saw during the DNC when Joe Biden stepped down. Joe Biden's sun is opposite this Taurus placement. So Joe Biden's having a lunation opposite his sun. It's the same energy in July that had him step down from running for office. It's the same energy that had Kamala go into the DNC and become the next person to run. It's the same energy that had Trump nearly assassinated. So it is a story, and it's back again energetically. It's back again energetically, just without the participation of Mars directly. So we're having it on the 15th of November's moon and add a couple of weeks. And then again, the last call is the direct motion Uranus. He's retrograde now. The direct motion Uranus on May the 2nd. So you can connect July the 15th, November 15th kind of thing, and May the 2nd as three parts of one larger story. That's the story. Let's talk about the shocking energies, and let's talk about the star. So first of all, energetically, according to Renn Butler in his amazing book, The Archetypal Universe, he says this about this combination of moon with Uranus. He says on the positive side, we have inspiration, aliveness, emotional liberation, and awakening. And we have the rebirth of family and relationship connections, because moon is family. And the dark side or harder side are emotional restlessness, impatience, impulsiveness, sudden reactions, frequent urges to move, manic mood swings. Now, on the darker side, because conjunctions are hard aspects on this full moon, we can have the following. We may have emotional shocks. We may have unexpected events in our home life. We may have disruptions to domestic security, whether that's your personal security or a nation's domestic security. And we may also have a desire for freedom and emotional freedom, whatever emotional freedom means to you. So this is the sky. I'm going to show it to you, and we're going to talk about the Algol story. I'm going to read a little bit about this star from my 3 books on astrology and fixed stars. Fixed because they don't move. In order for a star to be active in your natal chart, people mistakenly always say, oh, look at Algol's doing this in my chart, unless it's conjunct a planet. And Algol has about a 2-degree and 30-minute orb, I think. Unless it's conjunct a planet or a celestial body directly, and hypothetically, maybe even midheaven ascendant. I've seen it work that way. We just saw it with Donald Trump. Math points that are sensitive, South Node, North Node, midheaven, IC, ascendant, descendant, perhaps, those things, as well as planets and asteroids. It needs, the star light has to shine through a planet, right? It has to be available to be visible through a celestial body who's traveling in front of that star by virtue of our position on Earth. So here we can see that there's the moon at 24 degrees and there's the sun at 24 degrees. This is a lunation that's exactly at 24 degrees. So if you're a numerologist, you know that's the number 6. And I'm just like, wow, 6 has so many meanings. The lovers and the major arcana. It's 2 sides of every coin. You know what I mean? Like, 3 plus 3, because you have like the charity card, the 6 of Pentacles. But 6 can also be about following one's heart's path. It has an archangel for healing on it as well. I believe that's Raphael that's behind the two Adam and Eve characters on the tarot. And Archangel Raphael is associated with fixed star Regulus, little king born to rule. Power, glory, fame, and riches. Little king Regulus, Archangel Raphael, is at 29 degrees. Now it's at 0 degrees of Virgo, but it was at 29 degrees of Virgo when Donald Trump was born, and it's on his ascendant, and it's right here. Now, this is Daedalus, the inventor, but it's also the one who created the wings that his son tried to get high and fly to the sky and melt it. But if I go with the inventor Daedalus and not the wings melting, we're going to say that Donald Trump's ascendant is square this moon. And it is connected to this asteroid. And this is also where Donald Trump's Mars is as well, at 26 degrees. And here we have this story. Now, I want you to keep in mind the idea that the Daedalus was an inventor, and he was trying to escape from an imprisoned situation with his son. And so he was inventive, right? And that creative inventiveness is a part of what Daedalus is doing in the sky at the time of the moon. So keep in mind the positive sides as well. Yet, and this is Deucalion. Deucalion is the asteroid co-joined the sun. It's like Noah's Ark. God tells Deucalion he needs to get everybody gathered together. There's going to be a flood, and it's all about creating a new world with hope and promise. So there's a vibe of a whole new world, a whole new promise, a fresh start. So there's a sun on an asteroid for a whole new world after a time of a flood, a fresh start. There's Artemis, the archer, like Diana, who takes aim with her hunting dogs. And she also represents kind of a protective feminine energy for women in labor or childbirth. There's an archetypal single independent female with the archer as well. Just keep that in mind. It's just there. I don't know what that might mean. And then because Trump's administration might hire more women, that's for example. And down here is the moon with Uranus and this Algol. Yes, that is Algol. Before we go ahead and do all signs and talk about the, other angles to the chart, a couple of things. If Algol is going to make you wealthy, and it can, diamonds and jewels, and it's known as a wealth star in your individual chart, it's going to depend, of course, on the presence of Venus or the placement of Venus in your chart, because she's ruling the Taurian whole sign house of your sky. But don't be afraid, as I describe the meaning of the star, please, that you're going to be like in a mass grave or something. It really is the mundane interpretation for the world. Your own life with Algol is where you could lose your head. Like you could fly off the handle at somebody, especially with an exalted moon, an entitled moon, like off with their heads, let them eat cake, guillotine them, says Marie Antoinette. That's the archetype. And so you could be the one who flies off the handle and loses your common sense head at some situation, or some person does it towards you, connected to the whole sign Taurus house. So for example, this is an Aquarius rising chart right now, just set up that way by mistake. And what is happening in this part of the chart for Aquarians is this domestic stories, home stories, residential stories, things going on in the home, and the energetics of losing one's head. And so metaphorically, figuratively, that's the right word I want for it, figuratively, losing one's head. But let's not forget that Algol is not a happy star. It is meant to be an ominous star. In the ancient tradition, apparently, if the star is flickering red or blue, it has two colors. One is auspicious, one is inauspicious. There's that. Or if the star is light, or if the star is dark when you're looking for it. But without knowing that, I'm not going to go with a telescope or binoculars. I'm going to tell you what the books are saying. Okay. This is a little book of fixed stars by Elizabeth Hazel. And on Algol, she has to say this. It's not alphabetical. Okay. Give me a second. Or is it alphabetical? And I just can't read. So we're in this constellation of Taurus, and we are looking for the Algol placement. And I am somehow not able to see it, and I don't know why. So we'll move on to my next book, and I'll come back to this. I am sure she would not have left Algol. Yes, there it is. Kaput Algol. Okay, Kaput Algol, head of the demon. What she says about Kaput Algol at 26 and 27 degrees and 27 minutes of Taurus. It's a variable binary star. Okay. So Latin is head, and Arabic Algol is demon or ghoul. So the head of the demon or the ghoul. Medusa's head, misfortune and bad death, victory over others. Work with metal, mining, jewels or jewelry. In the mundane, strong properties and talismanic magic associated with diamonds, our girl's best friend. I don't know if you know this, but Johnny Depp and Amber Heard both have Algol on top of their Venus, and both of their Venuses are conjunct. And we saw the dark side, including Algol represents the spirit of alcohol. So there's a lot going on with that one, and of course a lot of the fight they had about money and money issues in their end of their relationship in the public sphere. Strong properties. Oh yeah, and she says mass fatalities for mundane. Okay. Mass fatalities for mundane astrology, because it is repeated everywhere we go. The Living Stars by Dr. Eric Morse. Okay. Dr. Eric Morse has these words to say about Algol. He says, Algol is so much connotated with violent death and mundane astrology. Okay. And so we all know that. So does he say anything else about it? Because I'm sure that's not all he had to say. He's tying it in with Alcyone and the start of the grieving women of the Pleiades, and how mass death brings women into places of grief, which it makes a whole lot of sense. Women are the ones who will not choose to send their children to war. I just saw Trump interview in Dearborn, Michigan before the election. Just came across my screen this morning with the Muslim community, basically won him the vote, maybe with the Amish or something. No, that's Pennsylvania, but in Michigan. And he was like standing there with this guy who was literally reading the riot act about the United States complicity in the Middle East right now. And Donald Trump is like totally like simpatico there, like, saying he's like total, and apparently one of his daughters is marrying somebody of the Islam faith. So he's not, I know a lot of you Democrats don't like him, but I'm saying he may actually be able to mitigate what's going on in the Middle East more than you might imagine. So Algol, in this book, which is Fixed Stars in the Chart, Constellations, Lunar Mansions, and Mythology. Sorry about that, guys. Oscar Hoffman, wonderful resource. And of Algol, he says, piled up corpses, the demon's head, misfortune and violence, decapitation, hanging, electrocution, mob violence, dogged violent nature, death, glamorous power of attraction, great seductive beauty, right? The Medusa. She was beautiful, by the way. So we go with the whole mundane thing, and because it's a moon and it's full, and because the moon also represents the people of a place, like in election astrology, Horary, the moon is the electorate, the moon is the people of a country, a people of a place. Let's just bring our attention to what could this new moon be seeding from what would this full moon be fulfilling from a seed that was planted on the Taurus new moon 6 months earlier, in terms of world events. And then we're going to go ahead and do your sign. And in the comments, I love your suggestions too. What do you think this full moon might be doing for the world? It's also on Justin Trudeau of Canada has his midheaven where Trump has it up there with, Taurus Algol energy. And he's in hot water in our country. He's like so trending behind in the polls. Everyone's ready to get rid of him. It's like ridiculous. And he's lost his head because this is the Uranus conjunction over his midheaven, in mid-July, and then again now, and then in May. And for him, it's just bringing up a whole bunch of a bunch of liberals tried to oust him, like with a letter. We, the Liberal caucus, decide we don't want you, Liberal MPs, to be our fearless leader anymore. But he said, no, I'm staying anyway to run for the next year's election. And then Jagmeet Singh of the NDP broke a confidence agreement with him that was going to support the government no matter what. And then another coalition, the Bloc Québécois, stepped in and gave a strong arm. If you don't back our what we want to do, we're going to call an election non-confidence vote. The problem is you need the NDP to do it. So right now it looks like we're still rolling into next fall. For all you Canadians who keep asking me to do it, the NDP is not going to switch sides. Jagmeet Singh is waiting for his pension. He needs to be in office for one more year. So believe me, we are literally not going anywhere till the election unless Jagmeet Singh has a nervous breakdown and suddenly decides to call election. But he has no money to run a campaign right now. So believe me, it's still going to be looking like fall of 2025, I think. All right, just on my common sense. But Trudeau keeps having these jolts, and he gets another jolt in May, right? Early May into mid-May on the Algol Uranus conjunction with his midheaven. So a lot going on there. I'm going to talk to you quickly about what the seed was that was planted 6 months before. So we can maybe make some assumptions about what would be fulfilled or completed or illuminated in the sky on the full moon in the world astrology. Let's take a look at that. So first of all, in your own life, go back to May the 7th, 2024. That was the new moon in Taurus. And that new moon in Taurus, May the 7th, 2024, will have played out in your life probably in the 2 weeks that followed. That May 7th moon in the Taurus part of your sky will delineate that in the all signs. And that's where the full seed the seed was planted, and the fulfillment, completion, or extension of that is in play. But what happened in the real world, for example, during the time of May 7th or 8th in the world where these things are activated? Well, because Israel has its sun on this part of the sky where this moon is happening near Algol, it was back on May the 7th. The news story broke. Israel's military has seized the Palestinian side of the Rafah crossing, a vital point of entry for aid to Gaza and on the Egyptian border. And then another quote came out at the same time. The goal is to destroy Gaza. It's a headline, why Israel rejects a ceasefire. So Israel rejected a ceasefire, and then they went into the border crossing and took control of the border between Egypt and Gaza. They also were warned by Biden not to do a ground offensive, of which they, of course, went ahead and did a ground offensive. So all said and done, it was an extension of the war. It was a grab for power, going into an area. Biden was saying, don't do it. They did it anyway. And it literally is just more of the same. But if I'm going to say what it is really about, like why that is there, then it has to do with the concept of grabbing some kind of territory that could have launched a war against Egypt. It was a violation to go into the Egypt-controlled section and to do what they did. And there was this, I don't know if you guys remember in May of 24, there was tension about how or if, there would be a response from Egypt for this ingress into their territory. And also there was the same time on the 7th, May 7th, Israel appears to be has been blindsided by a Hamas announcement on Monday that it had agreed to an Egyptian-Qatari ceasefire proposal, but the Israeli government quickly made its position clear. The proposal was not something it would agree to, and to make things more explicit, its military forces took control of the Palestinian side of Egypt's border with Gaza in Rafah. Okay, so it's a clear story, right? That's exactly the vibe of what was going on then. Why does it matter? It matters because the sun of the nation of Israel is the solar energy of the nation of Israel, which means leader, is on the part of the sky on this full moon with the mass graves, the corpses, and the bodies, not trying to scare you. But Algol is on the sun of the United States, of Israel. And maybe that could mean something to do with its leader. Maybe it could do something to do with the war that's ongoing there. If you were to dig into the stories to do with other things that went on in May 7th, to do with the people who are impacted, Justin Trudeau in Canada, Donald Trump and his in midheaven back in May, and of course Kamala and her Jupiter May 7th, you'll probably find stories about those individuals and what was going on for them in their lives that will come to a head and off with their head energy. If someone wants to check out the research on any of those situations for me in the comments, I would appreciate it. But you're just trying to say point A and B will intersect each other. No two ways about it. Now, this is where the moon's Uranus conjunction comes through in the sky of the world. I believe you're able to witness what I'm showing you, which is the map of the world. Yes. So where this on the day of the moon at the exact time of the moon, which is something like 4:30 p.m. in the afternoon of the 15th in Washington, D.C., you're going to see the moon and Uranus going right smack dab through the Middle East. I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to make it even bigger. Let me double click. You can't make it any bigger than that, can you, Laurie? So this is the energetics of where there's an intersection going on, or an intensity going on regarding the moon and Uranus activities. There's Uranus, there's the moon. That's Luxor. Oh, I was on the Luxor Nile River Valley in 1987 and traveling to Karnak. It was amazing. But there is Egypt. There's Cairo. You see, there's Cairo. There is over here, Baghdad's off this way somewhere. There's East Jerusalem. Just watch my cursor swish around. Cairo, Suez Canal, Jerusalem, East Jerusalem. So we're in the thick of it. We're seeing the moon going right through the part of the chart that is actually Egypt and Jerusalem and all that. We see Uranus going right through here as well. That just tells me that there's Jerusalem proper right there. That just tells me that this is going to involve some kind of conflagration of challenges directly related to the Middle East aggression and violence and war that's going on there right now. Ironically, you could even see a real Suez Canal story with the Suez being directly implicated here. I mean, it's so close. Maybe there's going to be a blockade of the Suez Canal or something shocking. Uranus. In the world, we may get some medical inventions, not too shabby. But we're seeing this impacting the hotbed of the Middle East. And if I was to just take it out again, I don't know how to do that now, escape. But if I was to follow the lines down, there's Sudan, involving in Sudan, Port Sudan, and taking it down further. Honestly, the Middle East is not my most, I'm not like the girl who has her Middle East placements down. Just making sure I don't see anything else. So it's Middle East. Looks like it's in the heart, in the whole damn heart of it, right in the smack in the hotbed of it all. And so having this Uranus moon conjunction being very activating of the Middle East situation with the darker meanings of Algol, I leave it to you to see what happens. This is going to be on November the 15th. This will unfold over the 2 weeks that follow the moon, but it can indicate a directional shift. Lebanon is in the middle of that vortex as well in that war because of this moon. And so there you go. And now we're going to go ahead and do all signs. Don't forget your sign is, listen for your rising sun or moon. I explained the difference earlier, so go back and listen if you didn't remember the difference. Remember, emotional shock is one thing Uranus brings, but it also brings freedom, invention, rebellion. It brings clarity, like a aha, like a divine download, a pineal gland breakthrough. And it is connected to events you may have been planting, seeds you may have planted May 7th and a couple of weeks later in the month of May in the Taurus part of your sky. I do think that Venus flowing to this particular moon, Pluto flowing to this moon in a Earth trine can be auspicious. In the United States natal chart, this is a moon that's in the place of the labor force, the workforce, or just also called the house of bad fortune, the sixth house, but also can do with health matters of the country. And so there's that. It's not the most, it's not the most obvious place to look for distress in the United States. I don't think so. More like with the characters involved. President-elect Donald Trump, Vice President Kamala Harris and her Jupiter, Trump's midheaven. And of course, Biden has his sun at 27 degrees. Deucalion, the story of the flood, creating a new world, doing something fresh. Artemis, taking aim. These are on the sun. The moon reflects the light of the sun. So there's some positivity here. It's after the storm and after the peril, you create the new world, right? You've got all the animals on the ark 2 by 2. You can do it all. Deucalion is the earlier version of the the Noah story, Noah's Ark. All right, let's go ahead and do your sign. Are you guys ready? I'm going to pull up our charts and we're going to do one by one through the zodiac. Also, this is such a simple week. It is all we are doing is this moon. Yes, there is a square on Monday into Tuesday between Mercury and Saturn. And yes, on the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, Mercury is opposite Jupiter. Mercury is a day-long vibe. It's just so fast and so fleeting. I might bring it up briefly as I go through the signs for the Monday, Tuesday, Saturday, Sunday thing. But the whole focus of this video is this really important moon. It is the thing to pay attention to. Everything else is like whatever. So let's roll into it. All right, Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign. We begin by noting that we have the beginning of the week, Monday, Tuesday, just a Mercury square Saturn vibe for your sign. I don't know that it's going to bother you that much. It just might feel like your communication is strained, the way you're trying to get messages or ideas across. Mercury and Sag is big visions and doesn't pay attention to details. And Saturn is like, constraint, constriction, hardship energy. So there's kind of a pulse, and at least Saturn is direct. Saturn goes direct on the 15th, but I'm doing a separate video all about Saturn direct. So all said and done, I feel like this energy here is asking you to really look more squarely or more clearly at something to do with your communication style, especially when it comes to being on a pulpit, like a preacher, having something you want to say, or even to do with legal matters involving far foreign shores and places, a bit of constriction Monday and Tuesday. And, Saturday and Sunday, there's that opposition as the week progresses. And that's going to be a Mercury opposite Jupiter vibration here. Mercury Jupiter opposition pretty active on 16th, 17th, my time zone at Saturday, Sunday, indicating that you might have to really push against some situation involving travel matters, foreign lands, some miscommunication snafus. There is a mutual reception between the planets and things are trying to work out better than not. So look for opportunity, Jupiter, and communications and ideas, Mercury, with writing, publishing, travel, foreign lands, foreign shores, and matters to do with education. Those are themes on Sunday and Saturday. But the full moon is everything here. This is our most important story. We have a big, big light shining in the sky on November the 15th, which is a Friday. And this is a story where this full moon light could indicate that what you're trying to do or what you wish to achieve here in the story of the moon is something like perhaps you planted a seed on May the 7th or sometime in the first May the 7th, add 2 weeks. Go back and try to remember what you were doing. Because if you did plant a seed, it was a financial seed. This is your assets, your resources, your wealth, your significant earnings, possessions. It's what you have. And you planted a havingness seed May the 7th. And now that seed of having is becoming a full moon light on a wealth star in a money house. So for you, I don't think it's as much about losing your head, although be careful you don't lose your head or in a spending matter or a savings matter, but more like perhaps you're going to decide or fulfill something that you planted, a fulfillment of a financial goal or a financial direction for your life. And hey, diamonds and jewels are a girl's best friend. Go along with Algol. What is the precious jewel of financial fulfillment that this would like to bring you? And because the goddess of money is flowing with the god of the wealth of the underworld, Pluto, in his last gasp up here, go watch my Pluto video. It came out on Sunday, Pluto and Aquarius. They're flowing together to this moon. Now, of course, it's not an aspectual flow from Venus, but it is still a whole sign trine. Let me let go of the ascendant midheaven story. Sorry, that shouldn't have been there. And I kind of wonder if you aren't going to level up a bit on the money front vis-a-vis your public reputation, your visible status in the world, and the work you're doing in the world. And this could feel like a real consolidation of a kind of a material resourcefulness ambition. That said, Uranus does bring surprises. Now, you could be inventive or you could be surprised regarding money stories. Either you're inventing something that can bring you wealth or you're being surprised by some new wealth or some new money turnaround. So either one. And I noticed that we see Neptune likes to chime in with Saturn in a sextile, whole sign sextile, and a more precise one with Neptune. The mini grand trine energy is starting to pick up here. So it's like, how lucky can you be? Neptune is considering that some of your long range dreams and goals and visions for wealth and prosperity connected to career, far off foreign shores and lands, income from borderless revenue and digital sources, foreign people and foreign places, and financial gain and career success are being entwined in the moon. It may connect to seeds you planted for your money stories in May. Example for me, I'm an Aries sun and moon. I went on the Camino. I planned to go in May. I went at the end of May and I met a bunch of new women and I like a lot of them. And who knows, maybe this leads to a collaboration with one of them from the seeds I planted on the El Camino journey. That would make sense. That would be the seed planted in May to do with foreigners and foreign shores, because everybody on the trip was from around the world. Right. And I was also, quite enchanted with a lot of people there. So we'll see what that looks like. But this is what I mean. Just go back and see what seeds you planted back in the day. Don't lose your head about money matters, and don't let anyone else lose their head on your behalf, particularly anybody over here. This is your accountant. This is your bank loans and mortgage and all that stuff that the sun is sitting in. And we do have Deucalion. And Deucalion says, can you build a fresh new world in the resources of your savings, your earnings, your stocks, your inheritance monies, your spousal support monies, whatever this other money is, your ad revenue on YouTube for me, or your course revenues, more chunky money like ad revenue, royalty income. Can you build something new here? Deucalion says you're going to create a fresh new world of hope and opportunity and take aim with Artemis. And the fulfillment of those are lit up in the second house of possessions, earnings, and resources. The moon does rule, by the way, your house of home. And so some of this full light moon energy could mean a surprising, exciting, shocking, exhilarating change of home, not just 2 weeks after the moon, but perhaps in the 6 months that follow this full moon. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. In your sky, there is an exalted moon in the sign of your sun, in the moon and rising. Does your sun, moon, and rising happen to have a connection? Like maybe it's between 20 and, because the lunation is at 26 degrees. Is your sun, moon, and rising between 23 and 29 degrees? Then you're really in the thick of this. Of course, that means you're also pretty close to Algol with those placements, the star itself. So that's why we talk about Donald Trump having his midheaven here, right? Or this nation of Israel having their sun here, because this is where the star is as well. The full moon is a seed you planted in May around the 7th, add a couple of weeks for some kind of fulfillment of selfhood. The first house energy is about you being you. It's the I am house. What is this new beginning that you wish to have about who you are that gives you rebellious freedom, breaking outside the mold, being inventive, flying a new freak flag, and not being bound by the rules that don't work for you, because it is rebellious, freedom loving electricity with Uranus here and connected to you. You are the freedom fighter. You are the rebel, and you are the redefiner of yourself in radically new ways. A lot of Tauruses who are fixed signs and don't like change have gone through a lot of change since 2018. Not so much of circumstance, but that too, but of who they are. Okay, certainly some changes in their relationships, career, and home matters because it squares those houses. But, in your identity, through the changes in your circumstantial realm, you've had a major change in your sense of self. And if it's your moon, of course, Taurus moon's listening to this, and a lot of changes maybe have happened in your home as well. The moon is the ruler of your third house of trips and journeys, but neighbors and neighborhoods. So maybe a lot of you had a lot of erratic ups and downs regarding changes of neighborhoods and neighbor situations. Also, erratic changes regarding siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, and nephews, and erratic challenges to travel. Now, I'm talking about Uranus since 2018. You planted the seed here for something new in the house of you, in the sign of you, in your sun, in your moon, in your rising. And now we have a fulfillment and a completion, or an opportunity to see the harvest and ripening of this. It's interesting to me because you notice that there is support from Venus and Pluto, and it can indicate matters to do with pilgrimages, spirituality, faith, God, long distance foreign travel, far away, far off shores that you might want to journey to. Connections maybe to educational outcomes and higher educational settings. Now, it's a full moon, and it can be 2 weeks after the moon or up to 6 months after that you fulfill some of these ninth house objectives. Some of you may apply to go back to school. Some of you may get a visa and journey abroad. Some of you may go on a pilgrimage. Pilgrimages belong to the ninth house, off to the Temple of Zeus or the Oracle of Delphi or whatever you're going to do, off to the El Camino like I did. I need to get hang on a sec, guys. I need something for my feet here. That'll help. Now, one thing I'd say is that what about Deucalion over here? Like Deucalion is like, how do you want to build a fresh new world because you had to save everybody from a flood? Just like Noah, do you want to build a fresh new world in the way you approach your audience and marketplace? Or is it a fresh new beginning in long-term committed love and business partnerships? And that is very possible that you're going to reflect the light of a new beginning in an existing relationship, or you will begin a new relationship that is like a fresh, whole new world for you, a whole new world, kind of thing, with a dove and an olive branch and a rainbow, What about Pisces area? Neptune is saying, I agree, I'm aboard with what? Well, it could be some major Neptune Saturn stories going on that's moon's supportive of, particularly say supportive of something to do with how you might level up a bit here in terms of the kinds of friends you engage with, planting seeds for new groups of belonging, social networks and friendships that are more sober-minded and that are nothing to do with the illusions and rose-colored glasses of Neptune, but rather the sober reality of Saturn. Do you have new cohorts of friends and groups of people you wish to belong to and hang with and socialize with? Because it could even be that those new groups of belonging are going to come to you from the area of your life that represents primary one-on-one relationships. Okay. So if you're going to change your relationships, that's where that relationship jigging happens. Now, I don't want to talk too much about this Mercury problem or Mercury activity because it's really short, but just know that Monday, Tuesday, communications gaffes or constrictions around financial matters, Mercury in your 8th house of unearned income and chunky money, and some friendship issues maybe. So maybe some squabbles or miscommunications around career gains, money from your career, and some investments, some problems there. Monday, Tuesday with communication with friends around financial matters or secrets. And then on Saturday and Sunday, Mercury then opposes Jupiter. And now you're really having some kind of tussle around your earnings and savings versus your taxes or your investment monies. But there's a mutual reception, which doesn't make it so shabby at all. And you may be finding that there's an ease of communication despite it all, in which you can kind of get Mercury to be more Jupiterian and to expand your range of success with some of the ways you invest money or have money make money for you. So there you go. I really think we're just going to focus on the moon because these little niggly things that happen for a day and a half are so fleeting, where this moon is going to anchor a major life change story. And so finally, to finish up, when I said, did you plant a seed in the house of you in May? I mean, because you always witness the seventh house across the way, is there any chance that you planted seeds to change an existing relationship for a fresh new start, or to seek out a new relationship in business or love? Gemini, sun, moon, and rising sign. This is Lori, your hardest working astrologer on YouTube, and I'm not going to disagree with that. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're in the live premiere. Hit the notification bell. It does help this channel thrive, and then it helps me continually desire to produce content. All right, so Gemini, go back to May the 7th and think about seed planting because it's subtle. Did you have a nocturnal dream that planted a new seed for you? Did you have some kind of excursion to a foreign, far off shore and land, and did it plant a new seed for you? Did you have a soul work session with a healer? Did you have, in May of last year, a desire to go on the wine lover's middle way and quit your addiction to wine? I mean, because breakthroughs were trying to happen even then. Uranus was there, and you had this new moon in your 12th house. And now it's back again to fulfill the promise of last May. And maybe over the months, you already know what this area is. It's looking for some adjustment. If you are going to do something with this, you are also noting such a support structure from Venus in your house of the moksha, spiritual liberation, just like the 12th, but also the house of chunky money. So there could be some financial positive developments coming from this moon, but you planted those positive financial seeds in May. I have a progressed Gemini sun. I'm only going to use me as an example. Please just understand it's educational, but I incorporated my business in May last year, right? I didn't have an incorporation. So incorporations and tax matters are 8th house, and I incorporated a year ago. Funny enough, my guy who incorporated me is from India, so you got the foreigner in the mix as well. So you could say, how did you plant a seed regarding chunky money, taxes, investments, long range savings, retirement planning and stuff? How did you plant a seed in May? Because now the fruition and the fulfillment is coming into light as this exalted full moon on a well star, Algol. If you're going to lose your head, Algol is alcohol. Be careful around this moon itself that you don't go into some kind of alcohol binge, because I'm not saying you will, nor will I hope, but that's kind of a November 15th warning flare and the couple of weeks that follow, okay, to lose your head with an alcohol problem. Venus is a money goddess in a money house. She's resourceful here, and so is Pluto, full of riches. And so there could be a stock investment that also could take off if you invested in a foreign company or far off foreign shore, etc. But this is not probably crypto, because this is Capricorn in its steady traditional investments. What else? Well, I think that you might find possibly the cooperation very useful of of Neptune and Saturn as well, right? Because it's a whole sign flow. So how are you trying to make your dreams and your visions and your goals about your career real in a lasting way with an expert authority edge as a masterful top of the mountain climb? But you're also wanting to also be realistic, because we have Saturn here, and retrograde Neptune says it's really defogging any illusions you have. And Neptune rules all things to do with photography, filmography, video, art, music, videography platforms like YouTube. And so a lot of people who are Gemini may have succeeded through this energy as well, since 2011. But now it's kind of make your career goals and visions and dreams real in a realistic, lasting, enduring, steadfast way. The tortoise and the hare. It's not the speed that matters, it's the incremental pacing. And you may fulfill some goals around that. You may see that there's a support for that. That also ends up blessing you in your 8th house of that more indirectly earned income. That includes ad income also, or royalty income, that kind of other money that's not coming through a service, salary, and paycheck. Blessings to you as you fulfill something new here. And Deucalion, a whole new world in your health and health routines and work routines. You want to be like Noah, and you want to get to the shore, and you want to start something new and fresh, and a new world can emerge there. And you can take aim to make it true according to this sky in the 2 weeks after and up to 3 weeks, 6 months after this lunation. Now, I do need a chocolate break. I shall return to you shortly. Don't forget that like, subscribe button really helps. I know 123 people just hit the toilet plunger and unsubscribe from my channel yesterday. So that was the day after the election because people are mad at me because I got it wrong or because I got it right too late. I can't tell you where to go with that. I'm going to go grab the chocolate and I'll be right on back. All right, that was actually a blueberry smoothie, but I was definitely sustained by it, and now we continue. I am recording. Okay, we're moving into the Cancer story on this week ahead astrology. Don't forget the week is Monday the 11th to Sunday the 17th, and we're talking now all about the next sign. Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Yeah, the week starts off, of course, with a little tension in the communication sphere, Monday, Tuesday. That's that Mercury square Saturn. That's Saturn in the 9th house of all things academic and travel, and Mercury, the patron protector of travelers in the work house. Work travel opportunities that are complicated and somewhat misfitting. Some situations to do with legal matters in the workspace. Some situations to do with communications from bureaucracies or human resources and work that is just a little bit gnarly. And then later on Saturday and Sunday, then Mercury gets in a tangle with Jupiter. And this is some kind of situation that might have you having to deal with a gnarly colleague or coworker or a boss, some kind of difficult office or work type situation conversations, or a shift in your approach to a health matter that requires some kind of decisive moment of, figuring out what you want to do and how you're going to do it. I think I say about Jupiter in the 12th house is it could be very deep soul work going on as well, like a spiritual kind of vibe to this, a dream message from the nighttime dreams coming through your sky of great importance to your life, and especially in terms of the words dharma, what's your purpose in life, where Saturn is doing that earlier in the week square. Now, Mercury's in the house of health, but also the house of pets, and Jupiter is opposing that from the house of hospitals, and, Saturn squaring it. So some challenges to your health is the health of pets may be very critically indicated during this Saturday, Sunday, the 16th, 17th of November. Now we're moving into the idea of the full moon, which is so important because it has got a big energy. It's like exalted on Algol. It's intense. You could lose your head here, or your figurative head could be lost in a conversation with a sibling, but the sibling, one older than you, belongs to the 11th house, or a friend, or an ally, or a benefactor, or somebody in a social friendship network. And there can be sort of a turbocharged energy here that may be challenging, but it is a wealth star, and it can be wealth coming from those people and those situations, including wealth that comes through work, including great gains. Like I got famous, I had a windfall at work, pennies from heaven came dripping down my head. People win lotteries in the 11th house, Jupiter natal placements there. People win money natally. So where can you have an electric shock of exalted lunation, financial windfall? It's possible. And the moon is planting a seed, right? It started off way back in May, on May the 7th, when you had a new moon seed here. And now we're fulfilling it with a wealth star on an exalted full moon. So it could indicate something going on. You never know, right? You never know. Something happening here on the 15th of the month at a couple weeks after that could fulfill itself as looking like a windfall of some sort. You might notice that the sun is conjunct Deucalion And that's like Noah's flood and also taking aim, Artemis, the huntress. How is there something going on with this sun that's reflecting, is being reflected by the moon? Like the sun is in the house of children, the sun is in the house of romantic partners, entrepreneurship, but also money, luck, right? Like winning money. So we can see like you could be striking a bit of a luck vibe across the house of good fortune and good spirit, 5 and 11, that looks like a windfall, some financial bonus points somehow coming up for you in the 2 weeks that follows this moon. Good things may be happening for your children as well. That are surprising because, of course, whole new world, Deucalion on the sun in the house of children. The moon itself is being highly supported by Venus and Neptune and Pluto. Pluto is in a beautiful trine and it says wealth and riches, but Venus is in the house here too, in the house of your significant other, business partners or love partnerships. Excuse me. And you might be very, very much finding that some kind of riches or wealth are coming through the client, audience, marketplace, 7th house, or through some kind of things that are going on with your significant long-term relationship partner. And there's a glow up in that kind of wealth as well. And contractual agreements can bring great wealth for you in the 2 weeks that follows this moon. But you planted seeds in the 11th house back in May regarding the themes of the 11th house. So go back to May and see what you were up to see how some of this might be coming to fulfillment and fruition at this time. Lastly, I would just sort of say, excuse me, how is it that Venus operates here, talking, with Pluto to your 11th house? This could be some kind of legal contract regarding a creative project because of the 5th house. So, you get the book contract deal that you've always wanted, and you're going to get some great gains from that, some great financial recognition or financial success. It feels like you won the lottery, that sort of thing. All right. Anything else I'd say about this moon? If someone is to figuratively lose their head, it's probably not you. It's like, who is this person? Is that friend, social network group? Is that the sibling one older than you? Are they just losing their shit kind of thing? And are you having to just sort of witness it from the 1st house? So don't even take it too personally in that regard. It may have nothing to do with you. In fact, if you have your sun in Cancer, it's mostly about your career matters indeed. And so it's definitely stories that are very career related in particular. Almost like a closing chapter too, because when you put your sun here in a sextile to that moon, a lot of you are going to end up looking like it's a waning moon, the end or the completion of a cycle in your career, or in your work purpose. It's looking very financially positive, like a severance bonus or grand finale, financial high on an ending point. But again, I'm going to go back to, you could win money, because if you're going to win the money, you have to sign legal contracts to get it. And that's where Venus, Pluto sit. And that's a wealth yoga. When they're together in a conjunction, for example, it's a big wealth yoga, trillionaire yoga. It's not a conjunction, but they are together. Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. We have a full moon that is coming off a seed of a new moon back in May 7th, at a couple of weeks. Full light, full moon, top of sky, 10th house. This is where you have your reputation, career, purpose, energies, and there's a shocking surprise. Woo! And either a boss loses their head, figuratively, and loses their shit on you, or gets fired from the job, and that means that maybe you can rise up to greater power. Or there's also a big surprise of wealth energies with Algol, Uranus, full moon, exalted in the 10th house, maybe a giant raise, bonus, promotion, this unexpected, exciting freedom and exhilaration in the career space. Yay, you. Emotional shock, but maybe it's positive. Father figures do something that shocks you, or they lose their figurative head in the 10th house, and you're just sitting there going, WTF is wrong with you? I wonder as well that you have such a support structure for this moon, because Venus is and Pluto in the house of work, like the work, office, cult, boss, employee, employer, coworker, office, job, space, the staff and all of that. There's this like Pluto, Venus, wealth, energetic there anyway. So you may just suddenly find out that you're going to get your dream job and you're shocked, or you're going to get some raise or promotion and you're surprised, or someone, loses their head in the head, meaning they lose their position in the company, and you end up taking it. So there's like a really positive level of success that comes through your career and work stories. And the 10th and 6th house are Artha houses. And also you might think about the moon's being the dominion lord, the owner of your 12th house, as she provides you this exaltation and fullness in the 10th house. How may it also indicate revenue from far off foreign shores and far off places, for example? Neptune and Saturn are very complicit as well. They want you to help make your dreams come true, bring your dreams into reality, around your long range finances, especially things to do with the money you share with a business partner, a spouse, the bank, the mortgage holder, the refinance. Those kinds of monies are highlighted in a stable, enduring, but realistic way. And, when you look at it this way and you just kind of go with this shape, right, a wedge, you got a lot of action down here. The sun is, the light of the sun is a whole new world, Deucalion, a fresh new world after a flood, like Noah's Ark, a new beginning, a fresh start, fresh hope for something new. In the 4th house of home and land and property, and taking aim, Artemis, and you're taking aim for new home matters if you're going to, because of either financial success coming from your 8th house of some sort of financial resources, a sign-on bonus, a severance package, I don't know, or a royalty check, an income check, ad revenue check, or because of some up level in your actual work status in the workplace. Mm-hmm. Now, pets belong to the 6th house, and Pluto in the house of pets is anoretic at a completion or ending degree. He is sextiling matters of the home, but he is in a shocking, exhilarating, emotional shock energy with the moon. I'm not predicting that everybody who is a Leo rising sun or moon will have a loss of a pet that's a little rapid or unexpected, but it could look like that for sure. I mean, it has that vibe here because Venus, the goddess of love, is in your 6th house of pets, and Pluto, the god of death. And I'd say it's a blessed ending if that happens. Saturn in the house of death could represent an elder pet in his sextile to Venus. An elder pet may pass away. Your iguana is going to leave. And it's okay. It's time. And it may just be Uranus, a little surprising or very rapid or a little, unexpected. Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. We have a big moon, a big full moon. You planted a seed from that moon on May 7th of 2024. Now it's full, it's exalted, and it's shocking or surprising or maybe exhilarating because it is opening up corridors of change or for fulfillment in the 9th house. It could be about education. Did you plant any educational seeds in May? Apply for college or university, something like that. What else could you have planted in the fulfillment of the 9th house? You may have planted seeds to do with foreign shore visas and travel, pilgrimages. You may have planted seeds to do with legal and court matters, or seeds to do with spiritual faith and maybe finding a religious path or a spiritual path or community even, or even started to work with a guide or a mentor in your life or a spiritual advisor. Anyway, those seeds may have been planted in May, and now they're fulfilling themselves, becoming full. And the indication is things you started in May may become fulfilled in the 2 weeks that follows this full moon. The full moon, of course, is happening on Friday the 15th. And so that's when things start to really show you what it's for, what it's, really what it's happening for. So this is a luck house. This is like what we call a Lakshmi or wealth and prosperity house. It has dharma and purpose and meaning in it. It's a great place because it flows to Virgo. It's earth to earth, my mind to your mind. It's earth to earth. It's a earth mind meld. So you find the flow very pleasing to you from the moon. Even if there's a surprise, you should be feeling the surprise is Jupiterian. It's a trine. It brings you opportunity. And so it's more exhilarating than, say, scary, shocking. Venus is participating with Pluto. They're in a beautiful flow from the fifth house. And the energy here suggests something along the lines of perhaps there's a surprise around pregnancy or grandchildren. So this could be a surprise, you're going to be a grandparent, or surprise, your partner's pregnant or you're pregnant. Now, be a little careful if that's not up your alleyway of what you want to do, because, Venus is a fertility transit while she moves to your fifth house. And go watch my Venus and Capricorn video about more on that. And, their energies of Pluto Venus here are very much about relationships, sexuality, romance, at a deep, deep, transformative, cathartic, and, very profound level. And possibly what you may have a surprise about in the ninth house is that there's an opportunity for some unexpected foreign travel in a romantic partnership, because even Neptune and Saturn together in your seventh house of long-term love suggests something similar. Is it romantic leisure travel, opportunity, surprises that get planted on this moon fulfilling itself? Maybe, yeah, you could go traveling with somebody you love. You might even go on a long distance journey that's quite pilgrimage-like from this and not just for fun. And so maybe the moon reveals the opportunity for that travel with a long-term committed romantic love partner. But surprises can come in the lives of your grandchildren or children that are positive, and you're going to hear about it. And that does include the possibility of you being pregnant or becoming a grandparent. Venus is in the house of her joy and a house of good fortune that leads to winning money. Bureaucratic governmental bodies are the ninth house. Pluto is the god of wealth. Yeah, I will say it. You guys look like one of those people from this moon, a wealth yoga, a wealth energy in the fifth house, plus a Algol well star, that you may end up with the surprise of winning money. But you need to know that Deucalion and Artemis, the archer taking aim, are looking for you to have a whole new world, a fresh start, a new beginning of hope and possibility. After the floods, this hope and possibility is in your third house. This is a new hope regarding relationships with siblings, aunts, uncles, neighbors, and neighborhood. And maybe there is a change of neighborhood coming from this full moon, and it's already embedded in a promise of new hope, because maybe this is a neighborhood where you can say, hey, it was like a flood in my old neighborhood. I'm on dry ground now. You can't make it up. The Deucalion's in water sign Scorpio, and he's the god of the flood story. And we've been having this Deucalion traveling in Scorpio during a time of water trines and floods. Life is like cartoonish. I'm not really talking much about the Mercury story, but just a reminder, communication gaps might happen on Monday, Tuesday. You got some kind of, problems going on with hardship around the way you're communicating in and from the home, perhaps with a significant other. Be careful about that. It just might feel like communication with someone you care about one-on-one, significant long-term love partner or whatever, or legal contracts regarding land, property, and real estate are going to go into a place of frustration, perhaps Monday and Tuesday. And Saturday and Sunday, Mercury is opposite Jupiter. That's another Mercury communication, home-based matters, including rental contracts and real estate contracts and property contracts and negotiating deals around buying and selling property. Those kinds of Mercury things or conversations in the home opposite your Jupiter and your career space. There's just tension here on the 16th and 17th, Saturday and Sunday, regarding your ambitions and successes in your career space and communications in your home space. So just be aware of that. Okay. Okay, my warm tea to keep me going here, guys. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Let's get rolling. I didn't even share that my 2025 bundle sale ends in November. Oh, well, say la vie, November 15th. Okay, so first things first. It looks like we're going to see a full moonlight. When we see a full moonlight, we know it's a full fulfillment of something planted in the new moon of this new moon on May the 7th. This is a light in a part of the sky that is about money. We call it chunky money in my land. Anyway, I do. Well, we lost the moon here because we're moving the chart back in time. So let's go back a day and see if I can get us cued to look like what I'm pointing at. The moon is on the 15th. So the full moon, 26 degrees of Taurus on Algol, a well star in a money house. Unless you're going to have some kind of, you know, I don't know, mystical experience in the occult magical realm where, you lose your head, on ayahuasca or something. I just think this is a money story. So what seeds did you plant, Libras, back in May to do with your money in mortgages and bank loans and credit cards and investments and stock markets and money you share with a spouse and money you get through separation and divorce, money you get from a sale of a property or inheritances. You got it? All of those types of money. So you plant any seeds there back in May. Now they're fulfilling and fruiting here, but it's got this sudden, exciting, shocking tower, unexpected developments, and Uranus does bring you what you don't expect. So we're going to try to, but Algol is a well star. And with support from Venus and Pluto in the fourth house, legacy wealth. Is there any money from inheritance you're not expecting for another decade, but then maybe there's a trust fund or there's a, what do you call it, living will? Or maybe it's you did expect it, but not so soon. So possibly a surprising development occurs around long-term wealth and legacy wealth from the family of origin. That or an unexpected wealth opportunity applies to land, property, real estate, sell, purchase, buy, whatever, because Venus, Pluto, broad wealth yoga in the fourth house of where you live. But this is the house of the mother, the father, and the family line at both sides, in a way, the ancestors. So this looks very inheritancy a little bit, for you. We'll see. And I said, did you plant a seed back in May? And back then Jupiter was in the eighth house as well. So did you plant a seed for that inheritance? Did you hear that you're going to be in the will? Did you apply to be in the will? Or did you apply for that loan or mortgage? Or did you pay off that credit card or plan to? Did you restructure a debt back in May? What did you do with your money? Buy stock? Now, crypto belongs to the Taurian Uranian story that started back in 2000 in earnest, 2019 and 1819. So, you could have a crypto takeoff on you. That could be what I'm seeing here as well. Pluto represents the ideas of wealth currencies like gold and silver, and Venus is also connected to money. So moneta money, you might have a stock takeoff, but you would have planted the seed for that possibility perhaps in May. And it doesn't have to be crypto, any kind, AI, I don't know what. We also noticed that Saturn is and Neptune are whole sign flowing to this moon, and Neptune particularly. So, you can pay debt here in the sixth house, like to pay off your karmic debt or your real life debt. So you may have a sudden opportunity to eliminate any situation of indebtedness in your finances that's exhilarating. You want to go in the 2 weeks after the moon, but even up to the 2 months after the moon, 6 months after the moon, for the full expression of this. Okay. Okay. All right. Sorry, guys. I know. I'm teaching a class here soon. Let's get back into it. I lost my flow. I lost my jam here. I got to get back in. Oof, I've been working all day here. Let's see. Oh, I know. Yeah, pay off a debt. So again, you could also have some situation erupt excitingly to do with pets, tenancies, and rentals, and rental opportunities as well, connected to the Neptune flow to the moon from the sixth house of rentals, with Saturn saying dream rental opportunity or dream property opportunity or dream pet opportunity, etc. The moon is reflecting the light of Deucalion. Deucalion is a star that has to do as an asteroid that has to do with the flood. Where have you felt like you were trying to create a whole new world? a whole new world of hope after some kind of like end of the world story or flood in the resources, earnings, and money part of your life. And you're taking aim with Artemis and you're creating a whole new world in that part of your story. And the moon is reflecting that. It's not that you're here to hustle more. It's more like this is royalty income, book royalty income. This is money making money. This is a stock investment taking off. Kaboom. So these are the ways you're looking at some positive iterations of the wealth side of Algol in the 8th house. Otherwise, possibly there may be a sudden shocking secret about your family of origin revealed, Pluto in the 4th, Algol Uranus in the 8th, but it benefits you and you're glad for it. And, watch out for some miscommunication struggles that might occur, some difficulties about how people are communicating regarding travel plans and siblings and work. This could be work and social media, work and emails and phone calls, work and or rental properties and emails. And there's just miscommunications possible Monday, Tuesday. So be cautious. Mercury's not in good shape here. And then later on the Saturday and Sunday of the following weekend, 16th, 17th, Mercury comes into that opposition to Jupiter. There's a bit of a tug of war going on between matters to do with foreign travel, foreign lands, writing projects, book publishing deals. And it's a mutual reception, which saves the day, but get a fine print person to look at everything because Jupiter is paying attention to details. He's terrible. And Mercury's paying attention to none of it. And that's his job. So if you're looking at publications, book publishing, social media, travel opportunities, look closer, make sure you don't make an error of judgment on Saturday and Sunday about the fine print. Oh, I'm going by day. I apologize. I had to move it. And there we go. Hours. Moving forward for this kind of week ahead, but mostly the moon story. Hey, Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sun, there is a full light in your 7th house of marriage. Now, you planted seeds there last May 7th. What happened since then? My Scorpio rising sun got legally married. What other Scorpios have you been up to? Because you planted a seed in the house of long-term committed love, business partnership, audience, and marketplace. Now, if your career, your leonine career, does involve any kind of reaching out to the audience, well, viral hits are the specialty of Uranus. So virility, going viral, algal wealth, exhilaration, surprise, that could happen. But also this may be about your partner in love or business, and they may be going through some exhilarating, shocking surprise of some kind. We have Neptune in the house of baby making. Saturn just says steady and sure, but make your dreams come real. Perhaps, because Saturn will station direct later on the day of the moon. You'll have some forward momentum around the idea of some kind of fertility, pregnancy surprise. That's a possibility. I find that the energy here also of being a lunation that's supported greatly by Pluto, a wealth god, co-present with Venus, a money goddess in your 3rd house. That's kind of like, an online world on social media, like the digital media is the 3rd house, and real media like newspapers, and Venus and Pluto are broad wealth yoga. So a bit of a spike in wealth or power coming through the online world or through the local neighborhood. You play at a pub and everyone loves you, and you have this great response by the audience. So that's a possibility, and that includes writing projects taking off with the audience or the marketplace. And then again, if it's back to your significant other type relationships, if you're single, there could be a sudden, shocking, surprising, and delightful new intersection of love. And Venus is in the 3rd house. So you might meet that person at a bar, a pub, a local neighborhood event, through a short distance travel or learning educational setting, that kind of thing. And we're looking at a moon that's happening, yes, on the 15th, but pay attention not just to that, the 2 weeks after this moon and up to the 6 months following. The moon is also flowing or reflecting the light of Deucalion. Do you have a kind of a whole new world that you wish to create? And take aim to create it, because you are Noah. You were the one on the ark with, the rainbow, the olive branch, and the dove. You got the whole shemazel here. So you're trying to create a whole new world in your life. And, you are the one with the vision or visionary possibility to do that. You do have a lot of flow from Neptune, the imaginal one, the imagination in the house of creativity. What whole new world are you creating, Scorpio? It looks pretty good. Watch out for the communication gaps regarding money issues, especially with money you share with a bank, a mortgage, a significant other, there is some kind of constraint or frustration or misfiring on communications around money matters Monday and Tuesday. And then on Saturday and Sunday, Mercury then also not well, communicating so well in Sag. Believe me, I just got under the gun of this one, Scorpios, because Mercury's crossing my midheaven, and I got so trashed online for not calling the right election guy and outcome on YouTube for using astrology. And I got so trolled and so trashed. It was painful, but also then I shouldn't have put out my video saying my Horary had got it right, but only my Patreon community saw it, because that even led to more angry people. So you're misfiring on communications here, second house, regarding financial matters. And again, watch out for the banks and mortgages, the tax stuff. That's where some of it goes wrong. On the weekend, that's Saturday and Sunday on the weekend, or money disagreements with your significant other. Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising. First of all, I'm going to start with you, because I'm going to talk about, like, I'm breaking my routine here. Monday and Tuesday, Mercury in the sign of you is squaring Saturn. You got to watch out, because you're the one who's communicating glibly or without thinking or misfiring your communication. Your ideas are not reasonably sound and detail oriented. And you are looking down here at Saturn in the fourth house of home, property, land, and real estate, or an elder living with you, or what you're doing in the home, or whom you're doing something in the home with. And there is a contentious energy when there's a square. So watch out for your communications towards domestic people that you live with, especially because then Saturday and Sunday, the 16th and 17th, then Mercury gets into a tussle with a client, a customer, your significant other, or confusion and different disagreements over legal and contractual matters, especially if they connect to homeland and real estate. Maybe that's going to be something to be careful about. Mercury is not the best guy in your sign of fire, right? He doesn't speak as clearly and think as clearly as he could. He's got great big ideas, but no follow through. So I know it's like go big or go home, but how? Can you give me an instruction manual? It's like getting the IKEA furniture without the instruction manual. So you really, really be careful with what you're putting out there in terms of communications. Okay, both Monday, Tuesday, 11th and 12th, and Saturday and Sunday, the 16th and 17th, especially around financial matter, significant partnership matters, the person you're with in business and love, or client conversations. All righty, then we're going to talk about a moon that's full. It's on Algol, the well star. It's at 26 degrees of 24 degrees, I should say, of Taurus. It's a workhouse, okay, and it's shocking and surprising. It's also pets and domestic animals and health matters. It's also connected to debts, or money owed or not. So could be that you planted a seed here in May. Go back to May, around the 7th. Did you plant a seed in work, health, debt, pets, or rental property agreements and contracts? Did you do any of that? Because now it wants to fulfill, become whole, and like fruitful and ripe and revealing to you stories that you need to know. And there is this energy of a full moon that supports it. And Algol can bring wealth, right? But sixth house is not normally where I think of wealth, but I can think of debt elimination. I can also think of some kind of up level in finances through work or job as a possibility. But you notice that Venus is in a money and earnings and possessions, the I have house with Pluto, the god of riches and wealth and power, and they're together. And Pluto particularly is supportive of this lunation. So it looks to me like you could power up in a surprising Artha house way with an increase of your financial resources and assets and wealth, perhaps because there's some kind of job increase opportunity for you coming through the sky, or just some other way to possess more money. Otherwise, there's a shocking change in your dietary style that you can't believe you're making. And if you have any addictions, that's even better. A whole new world in the Deucalion sun, taken aim Artemis in the house of self-undoing. Maybe you're going to start fresh and no longer be a victim of that self-undoing, psychological, emotional, physical, doesn't matter what, how you sabotage yourself, how you're your own worst enemy, and you want to put a shocking stop to it. Possibly the moon also being the lord of the eighth house of chunky money. It could bring some chunks of money your way, a big royalty check, a stock that takes off. Saturn supports with Neptune this particular moon, right? And that's legacy wealth from family of origin, mom and dad. Inheritances can come through the sky for some Sagittariuses. Maybe if an elder was getting ready to pass, they might put money towards you. So there's a possibility for that, but it's the surprising element of it. And it's, more like an indebtedness, that can be alleviated. Yeah. I just like the way that Pluto and Venus in the second house are just so damn good. You can't go wrong. Venus wants her pleasures, Pluto has the riches. And so there's something that's enriching you a bit here on this moon that's full in this house of karmic qualities, where you put your service in to receive your karmic rewards, so to speak. So it could be looking like a nice little pop in the money story. Colleagues, coworkers, bosses might be involved. Things may also occur regarding matters to do with your health. But if it looks like it should be more positive than not, as a nice supportive whole sign trine from Venus. I hate to say it, but chiropractors are the nervous system. You could have the best chiropractic adjustment of your life in the sixth house of sickness, and you're feeling like completely like a new person. A whole new world opens up now that your neck's on straight or something. Okay, let me know how that goes, Sagittarius. Did I start off telling you? Yeah, I did. Okay, so next. We're talking about Capricorns, and you got Boss Bay Venus traveling through the sign of you, which I love. And this is your time to be more attractive this week and more charming and more available for congenial and friendly engagements with the world. And people love your charm offensive. And get a new haircut, wardrobe if you want. Venus supports that. This is happening the week of the moon. Now, just to start you off, because I don't want to forget, just a little turbulence in the beginning on communications fronts on Monday and Tuesday. That's just a Mercury problem. It'll go away. Mercury in your 12th house is misfiring with Saturn in your third house. Miscommunications with foreigners, foreign lands, text messages, emails, and travel related matters. Be careful when you book a ticket under this to travel anywhere at all, short or long distance. It's a little bit squishy. And then later on Sunday and Saturday and Sunday, then that same very Mercury opposes Jupiter in the house of work. This is definitely going to be, if you're in a job at all, a definite problem. Be careful, misfiring on work and communication stories in the office and workspace, but also Mercury is a dream god messenger in a house of the subconscious and the Akashic records. Please pay attention, therefore, to opportunity-rich insights and wisdom dreams Sunday the 16th and Saturday the 16th and Sunday the 17th. There is a reception between the guru, Jupiter, and Mercury. And if you have any insights, it may have to do with karmic debt matters, as well as work situations and opportunities, including opportunities connected to foreign shores, foreign lands, and foreigners. But we go ahead now and we talk about matters of your moon that's full and bright and shocking in your sex and romance, children and fertility, creative and procreativity, joy, fun, play, and pleasure. Fifth house matters. You planted a seed in that fifth house way back in the day, May the 7th. Now it is matured and ready to sprout something new. Is it going to be a shocking surprise that you are pregnant? Moon, motherhood, Uranus, surprise. Venus, a fertility goddess of sperm and ovum, traveling through your first house. With Pluto, profound transformation of identity. I'm going to be a parent. That's a possibility for some Capricorns. Otherwise, there may be a shocking surprise regarding money luck to do with winning money, which is one of the features of the fifth house. Typically, you can get unexpected wins of financial gain. W-I-N-S, not wins. Especially with Jupiter in the sixth house, because the prosperity of the fifth comes through the sixth. That's how we pay off these debts with, the fifth house lottery win. And possibly, maybe that is for you to be sad. You've been planting seeds with Jupiter in the lottery win house. Finally, you're going to win. Jupiter was planting those seeds, and you are ready to go. Now, what about other ways this may show up for you? Well, your children could announce they're going to have a baby and you're going to be a grandparent. That could happen out of this story. But the seeds planted in May, so you might have been in conversation with these people, a child. Your creative projects can be here, and a new idea, new insight, a new breakthrough. Your entrepreneurial and self-starter stuff is in the fifth house, and there's a breakthrough there. Breakthrough, freedom, rebellion, ingenuity, and originality, especially squaring Daedalus. I didn't talk about the inventor much here because I was usually trying to look at the world events with, inventive medicine and stuff. So we'll just keep that one out for now. You could find yourself, you've got a lot of support from Venus Pluto. So this can be Venus's joy houses over here. This could be you becoming more wealthy. See, it's I am. This is not the I have house. The first house is I am. I am what? I am Venus Pluto. I am a rich bitch. I am vastly wealthy. That's kind of the vibe. So you're wealthy, and it flows to the money luck house itself. So there may be a breakthrough in your financial matters. So some of you may not be a lottery, and it may be something else, but a nice little breakthrough, not just on the full moon, but in the 2 weeks that follow it, and in the 6 months that follow it as well. You got some support from Neptune. You're looking for your dream neighborhood, dream neighbors, dream environment for your daily life to exist in. The fishbowl in which you swim wants to have oceanic consciousness, unconditional love, forgiveness, and compassion. And it may want to connect to matters of the perfect neighborhood or the dreamy neighborhood. And it's on water because it's Pisces, and Saturn says rock. So rocky water shorelines. Saturn wants to stabilize the dreams and make them real. It may have to do with travel opportunities as well, flowing to this moon. So also you may get a trip out of this moon as well. In the 2 weeks that follow, there may be a journey that involves a travel opportunity and some big electric surprises in the house of sexuality and romance. What about Deucalion up here? Well, Deucalion is all about the happy endings after the flood and the whole new world that can open up with Noah's Ark and fresh beginnings in your 11th house of friendships, allies, benefactors, elder brother or sibling, the one older than you sibling, brother, sister, or someone who's like a big brother or big sister who wants to help you. These are the allies or benefactors for your life. And those 11th house people may be showing up as kind of like holding up the olive branch of hope after the flood for a whole new world. But it does activate a place in your chart that can be fun and can be, activating your own enthusiasm for life. Okay, I think that's all I have for you. I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything. What I talked about the communication tensions already. So yeah, full moon in the fifth house. Oh, one of your children may have a surprise. That doesn't have to be about pregnancy. So one of your children may shock or surprise you with some information or news. You don't mind it. You are Venus Pluto flowing to the whatever they're telling you or whatever you're discovering. Obviously, adult children doesn't matter. The house of children and things that are surprising in the life of your children may be emerging for you on the 15th and a couple of weeks after. And go back to May. What connections did you have to your children? I mean, if you have adult children, maybe you're talking to them back then. Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising. The full moon is happening here this week ahead, Monday the 11th to the 17th. It's on Friday the 15th, and it's going to light up your fourth house of property, homeland, and real estate. Now, this is such a hot area. You've been moving around and you've been, shocked and awed and changed and disrupted and had unexpected changes of home. And you've been having those unexpected changes of home ever since, 2018, and they're just continuing on and on. Now, my feeling about this is for you could have a change of residence, but Algol means you may also experience it as a prosperity change of residence in some way, particularly because this full moon from seed you planted May the 7th, right? This full moon is flowing beautifully to Venus, Pluto, out broad wealth yoga in the house of far off foreign shores and lands, foreign places and foreign people. Also, digital revenue, borderless income, and money you generate from commerce abroad. This flows to the fourth house of land, property, home, and real estate. Who knows? Maybe you will consider a whole new place to live that's not your own country. Up here, you see. And did you plant seeds in May? Well, I was in Portugal and Spain in May, and I was like, I'm never leaving here. I'm going to get my digital visa. But what shocking surprise can emerge on the moon itself, right? That could open up this exhilarating independent freedom and positive surprise regarding home. The moon does rule the house of rental contracts, right? Lunation. And so there may be new rental contract opportunities and changes. Now, not all changes may be welcome because it's still a little surprise, but they'll open doors to better things. The moon is receiving a lot of support from Neptune, Saturn in the second house of earnings, possessions, assets, money. Obviously, this is going to be good for money, earnings, home, foreign lands, and shores. That those 12 to 4 houses are active. Did you plant seeds about that? What were you doing? What were you doing back in the day in May that is a seed for changes regarding home? Now, the top of the sky is Deucalion, a fresh start, a whole new world after a time of great floods that required survival. There could be thrival and new beginnings in the career space, as well as taking great aim to make that true. And you may reflect the light of the career and reputation space by the changes that are coming in and from and about your home. I'll use me as a broad example. I need to make a career change because I'm overworked and I'm overwhelmed. So I'm flooded, right? And so I'm having a whole new world, but it's being reflected by the home. Maybe it's a better home. Maybe it's a bigger home. Maybe there's a better office space. Maybe I don't know, but changes in the home. So how can you say a whole new world that's better in your 10th house of career, and it shines itself in the 4th house of home as a new start, but it's exhilarating, exciting, could bring some wealth to you as well. We start off the week, by the way, and don't forget, Saturn is the Lord of Aquarius. You like him. He's in your money house. He's giving you structure here. I incorporated thanks to his ingress here last March. He just came in March of 23. And it was March of 23. I'm losing my days. March of 23, he gets in there within a year. I'm incorporating. You got to go with it. Saturn's an ally. But anyway, but Saturn, Neptune is just saying, make your finances stable and secure and visionary, make your dreams real as well, and financially, basically. And so they're participating here with the flow to the sun and the moon in a broad wedge. I don't like the beginning of the week for anybody, but let's go back and talk about Monday, Tuesday. Mercury square sun. Mercury has no details. He's Mr. A big picture thinker, got me in trouble on that stupid election stuff. So he just has a blah, 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 some kind of visionary, big, bold statements, and bang, he bumps into crosshairs with Jupiter Monday and Tuesday, the 11th and 12th. Be careful here. I will be very careful. It is like, where could you come into a difficult conversation or conflict with a sibling, one older than you, with a friend? And is a conflict over matters to do with children or enjoyment or play or fun or maybe leisure travel? It's just that you could cross hairs with communication, in a bad way, in a way that doesn't really work, even with this Mercury opposite Jupiter is happening on the 16th and 17th. Watch for those flares of miscommunications with friends, with children, etc., with your romantic partner, etc. But then Monday the 11th and Tuesday the 12th. Monday the 11th and Tuesday the 12th. That's Mars square Saturn. Mercury square Saturn. Mercury square Saturn. Mercury square Saturn. Oh my God, you could have a conflictual communication regarding money with a friend. That's about it, or an elder sibling, but it's not just conflictual, it's confusing, right? No one's sure what's true and real. And who's telling the truth here? And be careful that your communication style doesn't impede or constrict your financial resources in a work setting as well. Be cautious with the words that you use or you are using with the work environment so that it doesn't cause a constriction in your financial wellness. Okay, that's Monday and Tuesday. Did I finish it up? Oh my God, these videos are a long time sometimes. Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign. Finally, the last thing you need to know is we have in the sky a big, big, exciting, exhilarating, shocking, freedom-loving moon. It happens to occur in your third house. It's exalted in the house of the siblings, the house of aunts, uncles, cousins, the house of short distance travel, social media, online media, digital media, the house of your neighbors and neighborhood and everyday environment. And there's a big, shocking change energy here. I'm going to say one thing. Uranus likes to change up the fixity of that place. And there's a little bit of a surprise and something you don't see coming. But you planted seeds here in May, on the 7th of May at 2 weeks, you began to plant new seeds. There's a full light in the third house. Now, is a wealth star Algol? Who knows? You could get wealth from a sibling that surprises you. You get an unexpectedly positive trip opportunity that involves a prosperity situation. You can learn things. Skills-based learning is the third house, or teach things, and you may have an unexpected learning and teaching opportunity because both houses 9 and 6, the axis is travel or learning. There could be unexpected learning or travel opportunities emerging that shock or surprise you, but flow to you. You like it. It sextiles your Pisces nature, and so you're welcoming whatever it is. And you maybe a sibling has a shocking development, or an aunt or uncle or something like that, or a neighbor, and it's not your story anyway, but you like it and it flows to you. Indeed, you are Saturn, you are Neptune, making my dreams come real. Realistic expectations meet fantastical goals. You are trying to find the balance point, and you will find it by February 26th when these two planets leave for good. So in that way, I'm wondering if you have any sense then that your sort of realistic, hardworking backbone now going direct, I'm going to do a separate video just on Saturn direct, is supporting whatever this excitement is about for you. And look, the wealth planet, Venus, Capricorn, boss babe, with Pluto, riches, is in your 11th house of the elder sibling. So there could be a sudden surprising wealth up connected to a friend, an ally, a benefactor, an elder sibling. And also the opportunities for travel or learning are embedded in all of this. But if you're going to get that wealth glow up, actual money coming at you, it definitely is connecting to two sibling houses, 11 and 3, like one younger, one older. So sibling wealth could be coming your way. And Deucalion and the sun are in the house of the sibling 2 older than you. So we got a lot of sibling stories going on. Deucalion, 9th house, foreign shores, foreign lands, travel, visas, passports, higher educational settings, academics, legal and court battles and matters. Deucalion is the promise of a new world after a time of difficulty, after a time of survival, after the time of Noah and the ark and the flood. Here's the whole new world, because Deucalion is Noah. And so what is this whole new world that you want to create in your 9th house? But it's being reflected back at you in the neighborhood, or in the short distance travel, or in the house of siblings, or the house of aunts and uncles, all that good stuff. Digital media, social media, that's third house. Maybe you're going to do something in the social media sphere and you're so surprised because it just blasts up and takes off on you. Did you try to plant a new website seed or do something online, for example, back in May, and now it's time to do the fulfillment of it because it looks like it could go crazy on you and really be a big hit? My sister Cindy is a Pisces rising. I'm going to be helping her create her year ahead Lenormand tarot spread on her website. She's legally blind, and she'll be putting a sale out. And of course, I always share my sister's stuff, right? Both of my sisters, the Reiki healer, healingwithnancylynn.com. She's brilliant. I call her every time I have a problem, and she does it at a distance and it goes away. And then my other sister's the blind tarot reader. And so I can just see that just being like Lori sends to her email list that Cindy's year ahead sale is on. And sometime, mid-November, add 2 weeks, right? And do we plant a seed for it in May? We probably did. I probably adjusted her website for her. Okay, so that's a story for everybody here. Just a reminder, Pisces, Saturn does leave your sign full time in February 2026, but he will ingress into your money house next year, and he'll help stabilize your financial story so that you have a lot more security and stability around your money. So that's coming for a teaser next year, but it's full time after 2026 February. So you're going to finally get over this Saturnian feeling that you've been the weight of the world's on your shoulders, or that you're in charge of reality, and no, the buck stops here. You've been feeling that, a lot of you Pisces, that you're heavy burdened or anxious, melancholic, nostalgic, feeling old, even as the Saturn ingress in 23 March started up in your Pisces realm. But don't worry, you get a break next year. Yay. I don't have the dates handy and never remember them, but and then you get a long-term forever break, a 30-year break starting in 2026, February. Okay, we're moving on. Thanks for listening, everybody. Don't forget, I didn't even mention my All Signs Bundle sale is coming to a close. If you want to get that, you want to grab it now, because otherwise it won't be around again. Not at that price. And it ends on the 15th of November. I might even extend it to the 17th. I just don't any last minute sales coming in under the wire, because I have to email you guys the product on the 17th, but it might still be dribbling out till the 16th before I shut the sales card up and set up a new one. Whew. Wow. It's been a long day. I've been working my ass off, and I haven't slept for 2 nights. 2 nights. I swear I had 5 hours sleep for 2 nights in a row. And that has to do with the election energy. I don't even mean me being trolled or anything like that. And the night of the election, my whole body was vibrating. I'm very emotionally sensitive to the collective zeitgeist. I told some of you guys this. I had a dream about Donald Trump. I got up for a break, went to the bathroom at 2:20 in the morning, and then I went right back to bed and fell asleep. And then I dreamt right away, 2:20 Pacific time, 2:20, 3:24, 25, 20. So it's like 5:20 in the morning Eastern time, Washington, D.C., that Donald Trump had won. I didn't know that he'd won. And I was hanging out with him and people celebrating him. And I got even trolled for making this comment a bit, but let me just, forget that. Who cares about those people? But, there's all this kind of Donald Trump is unsavory. I'm a Canadian. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. And I'm not really, I'm a centrist. Okay. And, and I thought, oh, well, if he's really rotten, he must smell bad, right? Because that's what people say. He's like, he doesn't do enough personal hygiene or something. I don't say that that's true. Okay. It's not, I'm saying it's true. But anyway, in the dream, he smelled fine. And I woke up and I said to my partner, he won. I just dreamt it. Of course he had, but I was asleep. And then I said, and he's not as I said, foul smelling, as he supposedly, he doesn't smell at all. So I know that a lot of you guys are going to be upset because you wanted your person to win, right? That always happens. You get one winner in the race, but it may not be as actually bad for the world or your country as you might imagine it will be. Let's just hope that that's true. Take some solace in the fact that there's a divine plan in play. There's a divine order in play. Maybe that's why the bullet nicked his ear instead of his brain, right? So maybe there's something bigger than a politics and a party preference at work. I talked about timeline splitting like Man in the High Castle. And I said, well, if it's split, I jumped into the one where I'm in a Trump universe. So, and there's that Baron Trump thing that was written years ago in the 1870s. And the adventures of, Baron Trump and his dad, the last president of the United States of America. And, it couldn't be, I thought to myself, if that, because a lot of stuff that happened in that book has come true, those books about Baron Trump, there was Biden. So if Trump would be the last president of America for some reason, like the asteroid hitting the world or something, then this is this one. And The Simpsons with the purple outfit that shows Kamala Harris when Lisa was being the president and saying she inherited a hot mess from Trump, because the Simpsons actually predicted that Trump would win coming down the escalator. It's weird how this creative cartoon is predictably accurate. And I looked at that and I saw that it was a purple outfit. It was the purple outfit. Hang on. Let me see if I can show that to you. Hang in there. This is for people who are hanging out afterwards, probably in the live premiere. Let me just say, watch this. Okay, well, forget it. I screenshot it on my phone, but a channel I watch sometimes, Kim Iverson, she was predicting accurately the win for Trump using the Destiny cards tools. She confessed she uses all the time, which is cool. And I just saw that the night before the election. And she did a screenshot of the Simpsons with Lisa dressed as the president in a purple outfit with pearls and pearl earrings. And then there's a side picture of Kamala on the swearing in ceremony wearing the same color purple, same outfit, pearl necklace, pearl earrings. So the point being, it's eerie. And they did predict Kamala as Lisa in the Simpsons as the president. right? But she was the vice president. She was president for a day when Biden went into surgery. So, and who's to say she won't be president between now and inauguration should Joe Biden's health fail? And she does get to be president, and Trump does get to be president, which is why it could look astrologically like it was too close to call. That is what I'm waiting to see if that's going to happen. Oh, all right. Bye, everybody. Ciao.